Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be talking about 10 signs that you are doing well in life. These are 10 simple signs you're doing well in life. And this topic was inspired by Evan Carmichael, a big personal development YouTuber and social media influencer. I've been posting and following him for a long time. I think we started around the same time, but he's much bigger than I. And he posted this little graphic on his social media account, and it was these 10 simple signs that you're doing well in life, and it really spoke to me because they're simple stuff. Um, for example, number one is if you ate today. And why it spoke to me and why that might seem a little bizarre to you is because you're like, well, everyone eats today. Why does that mean you're doing well in life? And that's where it gets a bit profound, because most people, when they think of success, they think, I have to be driving a Lamborghini, I have to have millions of dollars in the bank, I have to have, this XYZ mansion, whatever, attractive spouse. And Evan is saying, no, a large portion of the world, maybe not a super large percentage wise, but a large amount in terms of actual count, millions of people live below the poverty line, don't have food, and go to bed hungry. And this is a common problem, not just in third world countries or somewhere far away from you, but even in the United States. That's why Tony Robbins has this program, because he saw that stat, and he saw how many people were starving even in the US, and he wanted to try and fix that. So that's number one. Number two is if you have a healthy heart. I'm going to borrow some of the tips from Evan and then add a few of my own. Healthy heart, I mean, simple, but I mean, how many people are obese? How many people have medical issues or heart disease or strokes or heart attacks or never exercise? So they're not fit, they're not healthy. And so if you have a good heart, you're already above the pack. Some people are born with heart defects. Number three, you have clean water. This one is definitely one that people take for granted, but there's organizations, I believe one's water.org, but a lot of celebrities like Matt Damon have come out, spent their time and their own money to promote these orgs. Even PewDiePie has raised millions of dollars for these type of organizations because, despite wherever situation you're at, most likely if you're able to wash this, you have clean water. Yet millions of people have to hike for miles just to attempt to get clean water, and they live in very different life than you. So it's such a tragic thing. It's such a ridiculous, maybe even jarring thing, because we take all this for granted, and yet when you really think about it, you won the lotto from the moment you were born, based on where you were born, the economics, the government, the country you were born into, with just having clean water and a lot of these simple things. So such a profound point, yet so important, because we get caught up in this comparison game of, oh, I need to have this Lamborghini or this amount of money or whatever it is, and then we make ourselves unhappy because we don't feel like we're successful enough. Number five, I think we're on number five. Number five, you had free time today to do what you wanted. And this one is my own making. And what I mean by this is that a lot of people, they are working all the time because they can't afford their rent, the food for their children, their family, or they have debt that they have to pay. If you have a house over your head, food in your belly, and you're able to work and then earn enough to pay for all that, and then still have free time every day or every week, let's say after your 9 to 5 job, from 5 to when you go to sleep, whenever that is, 10 p.m., midnight, that's a lot of free time every day, every weekend, and that's a blessing. Free time is something that not everyone always had. Some people still don't have. So that's a blessing for you to do whatever you want with, and another reason that you're a success and you're doing well. Number 6, you were able to put food on the table today. So I kind of already hinted at this one with some of my other tips, but another simple thing, another important thing, and I'm going to add to it, not just food on the table, not just water, clean water in your stomach, but also a warm, clean bed and a roof over your head. Sounds very simple, but I mean, the roof, the house, those are some complex architecture and painting and design skills that you probably can't do on your own if you were forced to do it and make a house the next day. And we often take it for granted because the rent system, the housing system is already set up, but in a lot of countries it's not. You have to make your own house, you have to find someone who's able to do it, and in a lot of these less developed countries, it's harder to really figure that out, and the people aren't really as good as it, and you can't even afford something good, and so you might end up with a wood hut, a tin house with holes in it. Simple stuff like that, we take for granted. Number 7, you have a healthy, functioning brain. Another simple thing, yet so profound, so powerful. The brain is my favorite muscle in the entire body. It's responsible for all the incredible, amazing stuff that humans have done. The creativity, the ingenuity, the kindness, generosity, caring, the intelligence, the progression of humanity. All of it stems from the brain. And there's so many ways it manifests in mind-boggling, awestruck ways. There's people like, I saw this video just the other day on YouTube about the man with the iron lung. And he's basically like paralyzed from the neck down. And because he got, I think he got polio or something in like the 20s or 30s, and the technology was less developed back then, he has this giant like chamber he has to sit in. And yet does people like him or Stephen Hawking let that stop them? Or Helen Keller? No, like these people are disabled, and yet they use what they can, their mouth, to do great things. I saw the video, and he's like using his mouth to hold a pencil and write with it. And he wrote a whole book. He published a book. He became a lawyer. It was incredible. Same thing with Helen Keller. Blind, deaf, still did so much. Stephen Hawking, you all know him. If you don't, you should find out about him. And there's more stories. I saw this guy in Egypt through an Olympic Games video on YouTube. He, through an accident when he was young, has no arms. And yet he became a international Olympic table tennis competitor by playing with his mouth. Incredible stories. And I think all of that not just comes from the human will to persevere, but the mind, the brain. The brain can deliver so much value if you can still think, cognitively well, and it's healthy and normal. You are so blessed. A lot of people unfortunately are born with brain defects or mental illnesses or whatnot. And I'm not trying to disparage these people at all. I'm just saying that there's some tough things in this world, and if you're lucky enough for everything to just check out and work perfectly, I mean, you can't take that for granted. Number 9, the ninth sign that you're doing well in life, and that's if you're young and if you have a lot of years ahead of you. Now, people might think, oh, I'm already old, I'm 30 years old, or oh, I'm very old already, I'm 40 or 50, I only have 20 years left before I die, or something like that. You usually have a lot more time than you think. And Gary Vaynerchuk, the social media influencer, entrepreneur, he stresses this point a lot, but he says, if you could screw up for 10 more years, 20 more years, and then you could still succeed. And he gives a lot of examples. He talks about his own life and how he was just this wine guy, and he was making a base level salary and carrying wine to his rich colleagues and packing that in crates into their cars. And he was doing very well building his father's wine company into an empire, but his father paid him a base salary, but he was very grateful, humble. He never complained about this, which I admire. Many people would feel entitled, and he got this very base salary all the way until he was 33. And now look at him now. He's like this world famous guy, connecting with all these rappers, entrepreneurs, killing it, making multi-millions through various channels. And it just goes to show you that like you have so much time ahead of you. And from my own personal experience, I know how tough it is. You might think, oh, I'm 18 already. I'm getting old. I'm a senior in college or senior in high school. And then you're 23. And then you're 25. And then you're 31. And then you're 36. And then it's like you feel old as heck, but really you have so much more years ahead of you. And Gary stresses this point of how, oh, everyone's going to live until 100, so you're not even at the halfway point yet. And so he's really stressing this long-term point. And you know, I've heard detractors say stuff like, really, you're going to live till 100? No, the average US death rate is 75 years old. His math is wrong. We only have 20, 30, 40 more years left. That's still 20, 30, 40 more years. You could do a lot in that time. And so to just give up, to just say, you know, it's over already, or that the best years are behind you, it's counting yourself short, because, man, some people live incredible, amazing lives. And that's something that I got to not take for granted. And I also got to get out of that negative thinking. So number 10, the 10th sign that you're doing well in life is that you have someone, a friend, a family member who loves you, you love them, and you have a great harmonious relationship, a respectful, a friendly, a loving relationship that you both cherish. Now, you don't have to be best friends, but even just one of these people, whether that's a family member or so forth, and you know, if you're lucky, you may have 2, 3, 4, some may even have 10 of these or more. That's something to really be cherished and admired. You know, there's all sorts of rich people in the world. There are happy ones, but there's also depressed ones. There's nice ones, and then there's also very selfish ones, manipulative or lying ones. And frankly, the ones who are sad or unhappy or not to be admired, even if they're rich, they're the ones who oftentimes don't really have any real friends, or they've kind of succeeded in that one area of making money, but they've kind of failed in a lot of the others, or failed to develop their skills in the others. And so they live kind of these boring or bitter or resentful lives, or maybe they even hate their job that they made their money in, but they can't step away from the money because it's making them so much money. There's a lot of different variations of what it could be, but the point is that you should be grateful for what you have and what's out there, and some of that means as simple as that friend that you have, because not everyone has that. And quite frankly, on your deathbed or later on in your years in life, I thought about this a lot, but what's really going to matter? Is it really going to matter that like you made $1 million and then all of a sudden you stress yourself to death to make another $10,000 or $100,000, but you neglected making any friends? Or, I mean, some people argue that when all said and done, and then when you pass away to the next life, like what you're going to remember and cherish the most are, or leave a legacy, it's those relationships that you formed in life, the impact you've made with others, those memories, rather than some fancy object that you bought with your money, whether, who knows what that is, a yacht, a car, a block of gold, or a t-shirt. And so some of those things fade very quickly. Maybe they'll make you happy for a week, a month, a day, and then you'll go back to normal. It's called a hedonic treadmill, a scientific concept around how we kind of go back to normal after feeling some pleasure over some hedonic thing. We resume our baselines of happiness. So those are the 10 things, and definitely, I just love how simple those items are. So simple, so much of a different perspective on what brings success in life. So thanks for watching, and like and subscribe.